and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Claire. I am an intuitive, a coach, and a conscious creator. I am carrying on this channel, posting whatever comes up when and if I want to share it. And today I felt like I wanted to share a little bit about past life healing, just the experience that I've had over the past couple of years, and what it's meant for me, and sort of how you could possibly use it in your own journey, your own healing path, whichever journey you're taking. So I think to start with for past life, the most important thing is acknowledging the belief maybe that you hold around past lives. So whether you believe it's something or you don't. For many years, I didn't believe in past lives. I was actually really scared to delve into that thought process. I didn't want to like even think about not being myself here on this earth. There was so much tied to my identity as a human being. And the more I dug into soul work and intuitive work, I found I was being called to look into past life healing for myself and for people that I worked with. So the more I did my own past life journey, the more it started coming up in readings for other people, and I was able to it's that visual of like taking two steps in order to help the person who's two steps behind. So like never having to be the expert at it. It's not like my main thing that I do, but definitely in the intuitive readings I did, so much beautiful information came through when I was willing to accept that it was something, if that makes sense. So one of the first books I read, which I always share when I talk about past lives, is Destiny of Souls. I will admit I have not read the whole book. On my own like self-healing journey, I have a lot of books that have helped me, and I don't think I've read many of them cover to cover. I have read some of them, but I find for me, and this I'm saying this because it might be helpful to you, I like to sort of intuitively dig into what I feel I need to read, if that makes sense. I'm sure it does. So I'll get a book and I know that there's only certain things that I need to learn from it. And then once I have, I don't need to sit and read the whole book. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I think you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that was something I wanted to share first. So books, YouTube videos, there's loads of tools out there if you are looking for something on this journey. And if you're watching this video, maybe this is one of the videos that you've been drawn to on your own path. So let's get into it. So, what is a past life? Let's start with the basics. So, I believe from my own experience, and again, you take it and you process it in your own way, is that we are human beings and we have chosen to be here on this earth as the human being that we are now, with lessons we want to learn, with experiences we want to have, with people we wanted to be with. I do believe in that. That's come up for me quite a bit. I do believe that that's a thing, that we reincarnate with souls that we are meant to reincarnate with. And I also believe in this is also just a loose theory, but it's come up for me over and over again. So I'm going to share it in case it makes sense for you. I also really believe in sort of the energy archetypes. So if you feel like you are constantly coming across people who feel the same energy, I use the word archetype. I don't know what word it is, but maybe you're triggered by a type of person and then you maybe have a journey with that person and it leads to healing, or it leads to maybe a breakup in the friendship or whatever it is, and you find yourself maybe meeting somebody who's got a similar archetype. I believe that that is something that we also attract into our lives in that on that soul level. It's not always the same person, but sometimes it's an archetype of a person, and sometimes it is a person. So for example, we may meet somebody and you just know, I've had this experience with most of my close friends, and people that I see often, where I feel like I've known them my whole life and we've been speaking for 10 minutes. Like, whoa, haven't we known each other forever? That feeling where your soul recognizes their soul. And I really believe that that's a thing. And lots of people don't believe that, but I do. On to past life healing and how we can do it ourselves. How do we know we need past life healing? Okay. So there's part of like self-healing where I've been speaking about it in some of my other videos, how to do the work. You can look up that video if you haven't already. Where like how do we actually work on healing? Well, how do we know what to heal? And for me, it's what is coming up every day in every moment. So when we're interacting with people, when we're on social media, when we're watching TV, whatever it is, the feelings and emotions that are continually coming up as a pattern, where we are saying to ourselves, every time I try and do this, this is the feeling that's coming up. Every time I try and do this, this is the feeling that's coming up. To do the inner work, sometimes we focus on that and we allow ourselves to go back into like our teenage times, our childhood, and we are able to pinpoint times where, oh wow, that's where the hurt happened. That's the part that I want to try and heal. And just creating an awareness around it can sometimes really bring in healing. You call in angels and guides to help you, and you can sit with those feelings. And there's lots of practices you can do. So somatic work, coaching, counseling, lots self-coaching, self-counseling, meditation, you name it, whatever works for you. I really believe in intuitive journeys where you figure out what works for you. Don't let somebody tell you how you have to heal. Maybe just let people give you ideas and then feel into what works for you. But the reason I'm saying it is because sometimes what happens is we go on these journeys of feeling and we cannot pinpoint why it's still stuck. So I'll give an example. And this is a really common one in the healing space, in the spiritual space, and it comes up a lot. If you look on social media, you'll find other videos about it called maybe the healer's wound or the witch wound. So what happened to me was I was finding myself very stuck in 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 feeling like I didn't have support from people. Like it was a wound that felt super deep. And it didn't matter sort of how much I went to coaching about it. It didn't matter how much somatic work I did on it. All the things that were working for me, that did help me, that were bringing healing, were not bringing healing. And I was guided to a video. I started feeling like, look up past life, look up past life. And I found a video on past life healing. And she explained sort of some of this stuff of how you keep getting stuck with the same thing and you can't move past it and you can't move past it. And I was like, oh, I think that's me. And then something told me, pause the video. And I was like, okay. I paused the video. I went and tried what she'd said. And I'm going to tell you what she said. And you can try it if you want to try it. You can call in protection. You can call in your angels and guides. But what you basically do is you sit in a quiet spot. You close your eyes. You, like I say, call in angels and guides. Call in whoever you work with, ascended masters, God, whatever makes sense for you, and ask in this moment, find yourself, like find your moment of stillness. Find a moment where you are ready. Don't like rush in. Like I'm obviously like I'm trying not to make my videos too long because I can like ramble. So I feel like I'm speaking fast, but it won't be a fast process when you do this. You sit down, you center yourself, you ground yourself. You call in whatever you need to call in. I've said that already. And then you ask your guides or your angels to show you a moment from a past life that is relevant to this feeling or this stuck energy or this thing that you just can't seem to heal. And trust that whatever needs to come up will come up for you. And in this moment, obviously, I'd been doing intuitive work for a while. I was trusting that my guides were working with me. I was trusting that I was in a space of where I was held, where I felt safe and I felt protected. And I was shown myself in a past life. I didn't think I was going to share this, but I actually feel okay sharing it. I don't know why. But I was shown myself in a past life where I was burnt at the stake. It sounds super weird, and people would maybe listen to it and be like, oh, that's weird. But it felt so real for me that this actually had happened to me at one point in my life, and all the same feelings came up. People hating me, I felt this feeling of people like spitting on me and shouting at me, and it was like this did happen. Like logically from history, I know this happened to people. And I was given words that helped me see this is something that happened to you. This is something that needs healing. And in that moment, I broke down and I cried and I felt that release and that relief of this is something that happened to me. And a few years before that, if someone had told me that, I would have been like, what are you talking about? Like, this isn't a journey that I've taken my whole life. It's something I had to open my heart to say, maybe this could be healing. And it was incredibly healing. Fast forward a few like months or yeah, it was probably a few months. A friend of mine asked, do you have any info on past life healing? And it was weird because at that time I was also in a stuck space somewhere else in my life. And I shared my story with her and what had happened. And she said to me, wow, it's so weird. What you told me has helped and it really resonates for me. I did what you said and it helped. But the reason I want to share this story is the next part for me was then I went and did another past life regression for myself. I was feeling confident. I obviously had done intuitive work before. Not that you have to, but I'm just saying I'm not diving in head first going, I'm going to do a past life regression. And I feel like you can do that. But what I'm saying is I had a foundation of safety. I had my guides, I had my angels. I knew that whatever was going to come through was for my highest good. And I don't feel like you need years and years to do this. I'm saying you can do this, but I'm just saying, I think I want to reiterate that it's not a willy-nilly like just messing around playing with past lives and seeing what happens. There was a purpose and there was like a really conscious intention to find information in order to find healing. I think I really want to like stress that. So I did this next past life regression on my own, and I felt this memory come up of I was struggling with the feeling of not having a group of support around me and wondering why so many people were feeling this way. And I had this feeling of standing together with other women, and I got this message of the woman you were with then are the woman you are with now. And that's why whenever I go to like a retreat or I go I don't know, somewhere and I meet someone and I go, why does it feel like I know this person? It's because on a soul level, we are linked and we have taken this journey before and we are taking it again. All of that to say that these messages that came through gave me an opportunity to find healing, to find support, to find strength, to find guidance, because in those moments I was given messaging that helped me move forward. And that to me is the purpose of past life regression, whether you do it on your own or whether you go to somebody. But I believe when you go to somebody, feel into it. Is this the right person for me? Is this going to give me what I need? Is this going to help me as I move forward? Um, is this a gimmick so that I'm paying money to hear that I was a queen and now everything's fine? And I like, is there a purpose to the past life regression? I do believe there are a lot of people who will bring you so much healing, but you need to feel into it. It's got to be a really conscious decision to take. And then the last part I wanted to share what I started with was watching the video teaching me how to do a past life healing. I went back to the video because remember, I paused the video. I went back and I played the video, and she literally said, like this was the same day. I went, I did the past life regression. I found out about the witch wound without knowing about what it was. I found out about it in meditation. Went back. I realized why I had the nudge to pause the video because the next thing she shared was many people will feel like they were burnt at the stake. Many people will feel like they were killed for being witches, for being healers, and they are carrying this wound of, I can't shine my light, I can't be supported, I will not be loved if I am going to do this work. And it was like chills. I was goosebumps because I was like, that's what just happened. And I do sort of feel like if I'd watched the video and not gone and done my own regression, I may not have believed that that was true. I may have believed it was just because I watched it on the video. So that was really powerful. And another example of how you are the best person to guide yourself on the journey when you trust you. Your higher self, your soul knows the journey you need to take. And I feel like we just need to trust that. So I think I'm just going to close by taking our hands to our heart, closing your eyes if you feel comfortable. And in this moment, I feel nudged to call in the energy of Jesus, the Christ consciousness, to remind us that I believe Jesus had multiple lifetimes here on this earth with whatever name he was given at that time or whatever name he chose to incarnate with. And if it feels comfortable, just to tap into that spirit of Jesus, that spirit of Christ consciousness, reminding us that Jesus too was persecuted for being a healer. He was persecuted for bringing light, for bringing love, for bringing messages of healing. And ultimately, it led to his crucifixion and dying on the cross. And I just wanted to bring that in. I feel like that's a really strong message. And then, if it feels comfortable, just visualizing Jesus as a support system, spreading so much love in your space right now, and reminding you that you are not alone, that your soul is here for a reason, that you are always guided, always supported, always loved, and that maybe there are some past life lessons that still need to come through into this lifetime. And sometimes when we find those lessons and we unlock that awareness, we are able to move forward so much more at ease. And I think just to add to that, I'm feeling that I need to share that you don't always need to know the story. You don't always need to know the details. Sometimes we just need to trust that there are past life wounds that need healing, and asking our guides, asking Jesus, asking God, asking our angels to step in and help us to find that healing. Take a nice deep inhale. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I want to share one last interesting thing. Um, I had to have an MRI recently, and I've never had one before. And I was filled with absolute terror to go into an MRI machine, into like this tunnel. And I never thought anything of it. I ended up doing the MRI. I was really panicked. It wasn't fun. Found out I need to have another one, which is coming up actually tomorrow, which is weird. Nothing serious, but a medical thing that needed to be checked. And I found out I had to have another one, went into complete panic, recognized the feeling was coming up again, recognized it wasn't from this lifetime. I've never felt claustrophobic before from anything that's made me feel scared in this lifetime. And I did another regression and found that there was a memory that took me back to a time when I was in a situation where I was feeling very claustrophobic, out of control, and it was linked to the witch wound and it sounds so weird even, but like the torture that happened back then. And it unlocked lots of healing opportunity again for me to say, I can do this, I can do this. And for those of you listening that think, because there's a part of my brain that goes, this is so weird, like, yeah, you had a past life and you were tortured, ooh, as a witch, and now you can't do an MRI. Like, part of my brain does that. And part of me thinks, oh, someone listening to this is going to think I'm so weird. You know what? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's brought me healing because I'm ready for tomorrow and I know I'm going to be fine because I had to sit with that feeling. It didn't matter what the detail was. It doesn't matter if it was a past life thing or not. It helped give me context, but I sat with that feeling and I let myself feel it fully. And it was hard. It was difficult. So I imagined myself in the tunnel in the MRI and just said, how is it going to feel? And I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was overwhelmed. I felt trapped. I felt stuck. And I sat with it and I sat with it and I sat with it. And I asked my guides to bring in, what messages do I need? What messages do I need? All I'm saying is you have the tools within you. You can do it. And I hope this was helpful. Feels like a random share. I feel like I'm a waffler and I waffle on and tell you all my stories, but I feel like it's helpful for people and I hope that it is. So I hope this is helpful for you and I'll catch you on my next video. Bye.